Hello one, hello all. This is a review of NF Hope. NF is a Michigan rapper, and this album's disappointing. This album's bad, really, really, really bad. And we're on the sixth album here, so it's the sixth album. And I was starting to see a little bit of improvement on Clouds. And do I respect the man's work ethic? Of course. Do I think he's talented? Sure. Do I think he's one of the worst rappers alive? No. He's just not really one of the best either. And it's starting to show a little more on here, unfortunately. Like, my biggest turnoff from him is when he would just be a little too aggressive, a little too overdramatic. That was one thing that drew me away. And also how he was pretty derivative, which shows even more on here. And how his flaws as an artist were unignorable, due to the fact that he would just drop like the most corniest bars. And I do respect him as a person being self-aware, like understanding his flaws. Great. I do think sometimes he could bring focus, which he does on here. The only problem is the production that was on there, which I felt was like very movie trailer like, but it sounded like it had a budget. It sounded like it was well put together. On here, it's just immensely boring and cheap. I don't know what the fuck happened, but the budget went out the fucking window. And not to mention how overproduced this sounds. Sounds very overproduced, sounds very movie trailer with these cheap sounding 808s. I'm sorry, but the 808s on here are just unignorably cheap and weak. And the opener just sounds like the whiteification of Kendrick Lamar's Mr. Morale, the Big Steppers, with its piano breaks, saying the number of years. And what's even worse is it sounds like 21 Pilots is ripping off Kendrick's intro to Mr. Morale, the Big Steppers. So yeah, like, we're really off to a derivative start here, and it doesn't end there. Like, when he's not trying to rap like Eminem, which clearly he's been infamous for doing again and again, he's just bringing more of a stale flavor to Eminem's style here. And when he's not rapping like Eminem, he's sounding like Louis Capaldi. Don't believe me? Listen to Happy, listen to Gone, and especially Tell Me I'm Wrong when you listen to Mistake, which really sums up the flaws of this album, or this album as a whole. This whole thing is a mistake, honestly. With its sad basic piano chords that we've heard over 1,000 times, that just needs to be deaded already. And I'm sorry, but Motto has easily some of the corniest bars I've heard all year. Like, but let's get into the points here where he's talking about wearing the same clothes he had on last week. Okay. I mean, I would assume you're rich, so you have a washing machine and a dryer, so that's fine. Do you. No one's gonna jeopardize you for that. But the old head mentality here, saying like he's better off, like acting like we were better off buying CDs at the store. I mean, you could still do that, but I would rather stream an album, because I'm not a religious man, but if I was to go to the store and get this album and listen to it, I would thank God, if there is one, for streaming. Because if I bought this, I would be one disappointed customer asking for a refund. Full price. And yeah, onto the corny lines though, like, I hope you break your legs falling off your horse. Oh snap. Yeah, you really killed it with that one. Trying to channel Eminem there, like with Christopher Reeves and the horse. I'm onto you, NF. I know what you're doing. And Careful has like these hideous choir vocals over this weak trap beat and very forgettable chord A verse. Like the only thing I could really remember, and not in a good way, is him referring to Ye as Yezos. Yezos. And I'll say this. Even though the production is bland and not very versatile, I could at least give him credit for being honest, for like speaking on things that have touched him personally. I could give him credit for that, but he does it in the most blandest, soulless way. And I would give him credit if he said, oh yeah, this is just like a pop rap album. This is just like me just trying to fit in to the game. But he's just passing himself off as like this white savior to hip hop, which I was hoping he wouldn't do on the mixtape, which he didn't. I give him credit for. But you're just running around with this sound, just capitalizing off it and saying like other rappers are like trash to you. When you're saying that you're different and differentiating yourself, but I don't hear it because you're clearly doing what everyone else is doing. In terms of like the mainstream, like there are artists out there who are doing their own thing and sounding great doing it, but are you reaching that level of like a Jid? Are you reaching that level of a Kendrick? No, you're copying Kendrick. And others too. Even people who aren't even rappers, like I mentioned. And one example where he's trying to differentiate himself from others, but actually doing the same thing, is when he's going off Pandemonium, right? But he sounds like Baby Keem. I'm sorry, like he sounds like Baby Keem with an Eminem flow. No thanks. No thanks. And Suffice just sounds like a bad Big Sean song. Like, he's saying like he'll never make a pop song, but everything else on here, when he's singing and doing all that, it sounds like a pop song. It sounds like you're trying to like rip off Ed Sheeran. It sounds like you're trying to rip off 21 Pilots. It sounds like you're trying to rip off Louis Capaldi. Now, are they hardcore? Are they obscure? No, not at all. So yeah, like artistically, this thing just lacks self-awareness. As a person, I would say it has self-awareness. But it means nothing when you're not confessing that in the context of artistry. And there are moments on here, like I said, I rock with the sentiments. You know, love for his family, a song about the passing of his mother, his wife being pregnant, and him having love for her, him admitting to not being a very good husband. That's fine. But it's kneecapped by the super commercial, faux dramatic production. And him trying to sound like Ed Sheeran. Like, look, I didn't like the collab with the real Eminem and the real Ed Sheeran on Revival. So I'm not gonna like the dollar store version on Hope. I'm sorry. And the beat sounds really cheap. Like, Jesus Christ. And these millennial whoops and pitched vocals over these low vocals sound terrible, which isn't flattering when you're trying to flatter someone. I'm just saying. Also, Turn Your Back just comes off to me as the biggest slap in the face. Like, you're doing this name dropping and then turn around and act like the people want to be you and are trying to take your style when you really have no style and you lack artistic identity. And then, like, you have the caucasity to turn around and diss the legends who paved the way for you when you're unapologetically deriving the sound, again, that you're capitalizing off of. Saying, he's the real one and you're a fake knockoff. If he's the real one and they're knockoffs, perhaps you should name drop them too. And so that way we could really see who the copycats are. Huh? How about it? No? Okay. But yeah, it just lacks artistic awareness left and right. Let Him Pray is loaded with these soulless staccato flows where he sounds like Eminem in the mid-2000s, but without the passion and vocal variations. Now, with Clouds, I can at least admit I've heard the vocal variations. You know what I mean? It's just he lacked the lyrics. He lacked his own flip to it, his own spin to it. On here, I don't even think he's trying to add his own spin to anything. I just think he's trying to make the most accessible album, the most pandering album, the most trending album, and try to pass it off as this grandiose, this eccentric, this like obscurity of an art piece when really it's not. It's not. Like, what made Eminem so great back then was his originality. How he was like storytelling, but when he told you a story, he created a scene with his vocal variations and the thematic element of it. And you could just visualize the scene as soon as it hit your eardrums. On here, I'm not getting that. What I'm getting is annoyance as soon as the sound hits my eardrums. That's what I'm getting. So while Running is a powerful closer, it just gives you the illusion that you just heard something grand and great and stand out. You know, it's like a bad commercial album where it has the, I guess, epic while it's on intro or opener, if you will, and when you listen to it, you're thinking you're hearing something different, you're hearing something compelling, but when you really listen to it and you've listened to like so much music and you deep dive into it, there's really nothing there. It's just a bunch of derivative bullshit. And then, you know, you're getting hit with like these technical flows and these sounds that sound familiar to you. So you think you're hearing something great. You're hearing the trap drums. You're hearing the orchestral instrumentation. But overall, this album is just, again, lacking identity. I think lacking respect for the culture. And just pandering and just leaving him as a faceless, fake deep rapper in the clouds. No pun intended, because that was his first mixtape. So yeah, I don't mean to be mean. I don't mean to bring the guy down, but this is just my opinion. I did not enjoy this at all, really. So if I have something nice to say, I've pretty much said it. Some sentiments are nice here, but I'm not really grading it off sentiments alone. I'm grading it off of the overall album experience. And the overall album experience was cringe, unmemorable, and just a waste for me. I'm feeling half a star out of 5 on this album. If you've given this a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? And why? And that's it. Hope you're enjoying your day, or enjoyed your day, or night, or whatever time this is. Because man, this was rough. Caspa, Gothic Ghost, and F. Hope till we meet again.